what I think we need to keep in mind is that there is no one thing I'm talking about that proves anything. It's the preponderance of evidence. Okay? It's looking at everything. If there were just one footprint, if there were just one example of anything I'm giving you, then you could say, well, that's kind of stretching it, or maybe it was fake or whatever. But there are so many of the things that I'm showing you. And I, again, am just touching the tip of the iceberg. Human skull in the coal seam in Germany. Otto Stutzer is he's a geologist and a professor of mines in Friedberg, Germany. He quotes a book written in 1843 by Kirsten and Detchen, two Germans, that talked about a skull they found in a coal seam. I didn't get the date on where the date of that coal seam was, but they found a human skull. Now, we're all, for some of these things, some of them are in museums. The human skull, no one can find where it was. But why would these two scientists, geologists, make up a funny story and put it in their book? It's preponderance of evidence. The unprecedented explosion of knowledge 5,000 years ago, they believe, may have been foreshadowed by earlier society whose cultural remnants have long since vanished. This is written in Omni Magazine, September 1982. Sir Fred Hoyle believed that the only way you can explain this is that there were beings from outer space that came down and taught us and seeded in information and genetics and so forth. That's all, because Sir Fred Hoyle was an atheist. He didn't believe in God, but he also knew evolution didn't work. Just from a mathematical point of view, the man would blast the evolutionists, you see. But he himself believed that it had to be creatures elsewhere. This note here, the Egyptians have written in their ancient text that the advanced society that they are at the time, the pyramids, I don't have time to go into the pyramids and some of the work that they did. So intricate that we can only copy some of their technology with lasers, okay, that they did, that the Egyptians did. The Egyptians said that their mathematics and their technology, their knowledge came from a superior race that lived long before them. Who are they referring to? They were referring to the antediluvians. The story was passed down and continued to be passed down. So the antediluvian society possessed the intellectual faculties 20 times more brilliant than today's modern man. They were majestically tall, well-proportioned men and women, a genetically superior race preserved by a peri-global canopy of water. Each individual was blessed with an abundance of multi-talented capabilities, a manifest athletic prowess that dwarfs the best Olympians ever seen since the age. That is what the antediluvians were. That's who they were. They were blessed. They were given so much. And the Bible explains exactly what happened. And the next lecture, when it was our final lecture, I'm going to give you that segment of NPR, that interview that is really going to make you feel a little funny. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Christ spoke those words. Those words, as I'm going to show you, have more power and more meaning than just what you're looking at. You have got to look deeper into that. I am going to show you before the end of this afternoon that he meant that literally. That what is today is no different than what was yesterday. So sit tight and let me build that up for you. The flood. What about the flood? The Bible describes the flood. It describes Noah, his wife, the 3 sons, their wives. It goes into all the detail. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife and thy sons' wives, with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing of flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. Genesis 8. God speaks to Noah now at the time, 371 days in the ark. Now the ark is open and it's time. You can go out onto the earth. Okay? And one of the criticisms, even amongst ourselves and everyone, is how can you fit all those animals on that ark? Well, we're going to show you how big the ark really was. But how can you fit everything? First of all, the word kind, K-I-N-D, is not the same as species. Every species of animal was not on the ark. Okay? Only the particular kind of animal that carried the genetic information for all the species that came after it. So there was maybe 1 or 2 dogs. And all the other dogs came after it. We are still breeding different types of dogs and different types of breeds. There was, I showed you Hoplophoneus down here. This can be genetically looked at and tied back to all the saber-toothed tigers. In that little guy's genes is big animals and little animals, and all with saber-toothed. When God put each kind of animal on, he put cows and camels and all the rest of these animals, and what we see today from out of that is what the species has developed into, that's within its own genetic capability. But now we have a logistic problem. If we took every kind and we put it on the ark, what are you going to do with that many animals for 371 days? I mean, that is horrendous. It's simple. When did God give this statement, bring forth with every living thing, with all the flesh, cattle, creeping things, that they may breed abundantly? When was that command given ever before? That command was given at creation, wasn't it? Breed and multiply. Which would imply that they weren't breeding and multiplying prior to that, right?